Hello friends, today we are going to discuss on Mansabdari system. Mansabdari system evolved during the time of Mughals. Especially it was brought in an institutionalized form during Akbar in 1567. Now, what is the period during which Mughals were present? It is from 1526 when Babur attacked India and there was Battle of Panipat 1 against Ibrahim Lodi, to 1707 when Aurangzeb dies. After that also Mughal Empire continued, but it was not uh, in its glory, which was there from 1526 to 1707, and it got completely uh, it was completely over in 1857 when Bahadur Shah Zafar was killed by the Britishers in the revolt of 1857. So we see the Mughal Empire, it covered almost whole of India. The map of Mughal Empire is in front of you on the screen. We have Akbar. So the person who established the Mughal Empire was Babur. Then we have Humayun. In between we have rule of Sher Shah, and then we have Akbar. Now Akbar was a key player in the Mughal Empire. We see Mughal Empire at its peak during the rule of the great Akbar. So the Mughal Empire, why do we say that it is so great? It was because of Akbar and his administrative policies, some of which are Dehsala Bandobast, his religious socio policies like Sulekul, Ibadat Khana, his political policies like friendship with the Rajputs, and so on and so forth. What we are concerned today is the administrative policy, and that is called as Mansabdari system. Now, what do you mean by Mansabdari system? We are going to do in detail. Mansabdari system actually was taken from Arab and Mongols, whom they had adopted from Roman Byzantine Empire. So just remember, the system of Mansabdari actually adopted from Arab and Mongols. The Mughals were actually a corrupt form of Mongols. It was a decimal system, like you have the lowest rank as 10 and the highest rank as 10,000. It was a decimal system, but Akbar made it according to the Indian conditions. Akbar did not just copy paste the whole Mansabdari system from the Arab and the Mongol rule. It was changed or amended according to the situation in India. Mansabdari was military service for payment with obligation to keep troops. So who were the Mansabdars? You have to remember, they had to keep troops. It was a ranking system, and they had to keep the Mansabdars had to keep troops according to their rank. It was more of a military service, and we will see ahead in the later chapters. Mughal rule was military; it was based on force. So it was a military service, and the Mansabdars had to keep troops. Mansabdari system during Mughals became complex as it was a mixture of army, nobility, civil service. So Mansabdari system was also complex because even the civil servants had to do military service. Even the nobility had to do military service. So it was not just army men who were or military men who were separate who were doing the military service. It was even the civil and the nobility had to do military service, and all of them were merged together. So we saw from where it was adopted. We saw it was a military service. It was a mixture of all. Officers with civil duty were given military service. That is what I just told you. And it was introduced in 1567. Akbar introduced it in an institutionalized form in 1567. Now we are going to see what is the nature. So we just saw the origin and some basic background of Mansabdari system. We are going to see nature. It was militarization of service. You will see civil servants, you will see nobility playing the role of military leaders. So it was militarization of service. And I had told you earlier also that the Mughal Empire was completely military. It was on force, like we had seen in the Ikta system that was brought up by Delhi Sultanate. Ecclesiastical, that is the people who were related to religion, the theologians, also the nobility, they were brought under the Mansab ambit. So as we had seen, it was very complex, and civil, nobility, and even ecclesiastical, that is the religious people, were also brought in the Mansab ambit. Army, peerage, and civil services combined. Mansab was not an office but a rank expressed social status. So Mansab was not like an office which is there, like you have the military. In the military you have in the army you have major or a colonel. Mansab was not an office. It showed rank of a person, and every person had to have a military, had to do the military service. So Mansab was no office but rank, and the rank determined what was the social status of a person. If a Mansab is 5,000, another person whose Mansab is 500, you exactly know who is much better placed in the society and who has more privileges because of the rank. And it was only given by the emperor, you must remember, and only to the officers related to the court. It was not given to everybody, but it showed the rank. Mansab meant dignity and payment. So as I just discussed, it showed the rank, it showed hierarchy, it showed dignity, and also payment. So the salary was given accordingly. So we saw the nature of Mansabdari system. So it was militarization brought into various officials. It was not only a rank but also social status and payment of salaries. Then we see features. What were the features of the Mansabdari system? So the two main things which we have to see in the Mansabdari system was the Mansabdars were subordinate to the emperor. So emperor gave the Mansabdars their rank and they were subordinate to him, could not dictate over him. Each rank had their own troops. So every person was not, he was in the hierarchy but not exactly like you have the officials over here in the current period. Every person had his own troops Each rank had their own troops. Second most important point is Mansabdar had dual ranking system. So whenever we talk about Mansabdari system, there is two ranks. One is Zat rank and a Sawar rank. This started in 1595-96. So Mansabdari introduced in 1567, dual ranking in 1595-96. So we have the Zat and the Sawar rank. Zat rank is the personal rank of the person who has the Mansabdar or Mansabdari or the Mansab. Sawar rank is how many horses he could keep. Sawar rank could be equal to the Zat rank or less. It could not be more. So just remember, it is Zat and Sawar. Zat is the personal rank. Sawar rank is the number of horses which the Mansabdar could keep. Sawar rank was equal or less. It could not be more. So you see the Mansabdari system. Holder of a rank. They are having guns, so it's military. It was mostly militarization of services. They had cavalry. Horses were there. Soldiers were there. And it was not hereditary. After his death, back to the king. So this is Mansabdari. So as I told you, every Mansabdar had horses, soldiers, and quite a big contingent under him. Later we will see this will create problems as the Mansabdars also become powerful. And it becomes hereditary in the future, we will see. So you have the emperor and his Mansabdars in the court. The emperor actually creates all this. So you have the Mansabdar, Mansab which has Zat and Sawar rank. So coming back to the features, so dual ranking system, there was an important, you can say, temporary provision which was made called as Mashroot. Now what do you mean by Mashroot? Mashroot is a temporary or an exceptional Sawar rank given to the Fauzdar or Kiladar which required additional force. Means without increasing the Sawar rank, without increasing the Zat rank, without giving high Mansab, for a temporary basis give high Sawars to people who are in areas, people as in the officers who are in areas which is very volatile. 1595-1596 dual system as we saw. And just to let you know, Mashroot was taken back away after the transfer was done. So once that person is out of that difficult area, Mashroot was also taken back. Dag and Chehras 1573-1574. Many a times this question is asked. When did Akbar introduce Dag and Chehra? We had seen Dag and Chehra was actually first introduced by Alauddin Khilji. State gave Zat and Sawar salary. So according to the Zat and Sawar, state gave the salary. Property of Mansabdar was seized if he owed some money to the state. So sometimes the Mansabdars used to not give their money. So they were also collecting money from the peasants, but sometimes they did not pay the money back. If in this case the state would take by force the money of the Mansabdars, and that state demand was called as Mutalba. So So if the Mutalba was not paid, like we had the Fawazil in the Iqta system, so if the state did not, if the Mansabdars did not pay the state its Mutalba, the property was seized. Salary was given. Two types of salary. One is in the form of cash and the other in the form of Jagir. If in the form of cash, it was called as Nagdi. In the form of Jagir, it was called as Jagirdar. In form of cash, there was a type of tax deductible at source. That was, remember this, every rupaya, 2 dams were taken. So that was called as do dami. So some typical important names or concepts or provisions which you need to remember. Like we saw the Mutalba, like we saw Zat Sawar. Now we are seeing, we even saw Nagdi and Jagir. Now we are seeing Do Dami. Do Dami means if the cash is paid out of 1 rupaya, 2 dam, that's Do Dami. And the salary was not all the Mansabdars having same rank given the same salary. The salary depended on the number of horses, the quality of the horses, and the ethnic groups also. So if there were Afghans, if there were Persians, they would get more money. If the horses were of good quality, especially the Arabic and the Iraqi horses, they would get more money. Mansabdars maintained troops, administration, and they were even, some of them were even kept in the courts. So they were used for troops. So if the question comes, what is the importance of these Mansabdars? So they provided army, they provided troops, loyalty, administration, and some of them were kept as attendants in courts. 3 classes of Mansabdars you must remember. This is given by Abul Fazl. 3 classes. One is if a Mansabdar having equal Zat and Sawar rank. Second is Zat rank and the Sawar rank is less than half of the Zat rank. And third is if the Sawar rank is half of the Zat rank. So first is Zat rank and Sawar rank is equal. Second is Sawar rank is half of the Zat rank. Third is Sawar rank is less than half or no Sawar compared to the Zat rank. Means the Zat rank is the same, only the Sawar rank is changing. Half, less than half, and 0. Zat indicated rank, social status, dignity, etc. So which we just discussed earlier. Sawar meant number of cavalrymen. Highest Mansabdar got 1000 rank, whereas lowest got even 10 rank. For royal family, it was more than 5000 rank. So 5000 Mansab means, and more means royal family. 7000 was the highest given during the time of Akbar, and it was given to Man Singh and Mirza Aziz Koka. So it shows how liberal Akbar's policies were towards the Rajputs. Aurangzeb time, Mansabdari went up to 40,000 rank. So we are going to see how Mansabdari and Jagirdari creates a crisis. Aurangzeb could not handle it. Ranks were up to 500 and above. So I'll just tell you what was the ranks. If it was up to 500, then it was, the person was called as Mansabdar. From 500 rank to 2500, he was called as Amir. From 2500 plus, he is called as Amir-e-Azam. Higher ranks called Khan-e-Zaman, and highest rank Khan-e-Khanat. So Abdur Rahim Khan-e-Khana. one of the jewel in Akbar's court. Mansab was not hereditary, but it was given by emperor. It was both civil and military. So, as I told you, Mansabdars were creation of the emperor. They were his followers. They had to fall at his feet, be grateful that the emperor created them. And so it was both civil and military. It also indicated pay and position. And the last point, Daha Bishti. So as we had seen Nagdi, we saw Jagirdari, we saw other concepts like Mansabdars, etc. Dodami, even Mutalba. Another concept or another typical thing that you need to remember is Daha Bishti. Daha is 10, Bishti 20 horses. Means 10 horsemen should have 20 horses. Each Sawar has 2 horses. They can also increase it 3 to 4. Quality of the horse was important, and as I had told you, especially Arabic and Iraqi. So this was the nature of the Mansabdari system. Now we'll see the significance. Why is this Mansabdari system so important? Why are we studying about Mansabdari, and how did it help the Mughals to create such a big empire? So it was firstly an integrated bureaucratic system. As I told you, helped in the administration, proper hierarchy. Everybody had their responsibilities and accountability. Second is organization of nobility, creation of official nobility. So nobles were made, responsibilities given. Check on Fissipario's forces. The Mansabdars were all at the mercy of the emperor. They were created by the emperor. So they didn't think of breaking or dividing or going out. Integration of various groups like Rajputs, Afghans. So Rajputs were there, Afghans were there. There was expansion of social base of nobility. As I just discussed, Rajputs, Afghans, Indian Muslims. Creation of an all India polity. It helped in bringing the country together. All India polity. It helped in uniformity in administrative pattern. 7th point. 8th point is impetus to Mughal Rajput relations. 9th point, it was important for it had strategic importance. It had military importance. 10th point, management of army. As I told you, it was militarization of the bureaucracy and the full system. And finally, it was a mechanism for collection of revenue. And if Mutalba not paid, their mansab was taken, their jagis were taken. Now what was the limitation? So the limitation was the Mansabdars later became powerful as the Sawars were recruited by the Mansabdars. So the Sawars, though the Mansabdars respected the king, the Sawars were under the Mansabdars. So the Mansabdars had a chance of becoming powerful. There was a problem in the Dag system. We had seen Dag was introduced by Akbar in 73-74. So a lot of corruption was going on. There was not the number of Sawars which were needed to be kept. That number was not kept. So during the wars or battles, it could lead to problems. And finally, system of Jagirdari. Later, there were problem of Jagirs. So this was the limitation. What was the continuity? The system continued to the rule of subsequent Mughal rulers with some changes. With some changes, it continued, and till Aurangzeb, it was one of the reasons for the strength of the Mughal rule in India. Okay. Okay, so these are all the important points. So we saw the nature, we saw the significance, limitations, and continuity. Thank you and have a nice day.